Did you know that over 300 unexplained incidents have been officially reported within the confines of a single hotel room? That's right, 300. Not whispers, not rumors, but documented accounts from terrified guests, bewildered staff, and even hardened paranormal investigators. It's a number that chills you to the bone, a statistical anomaly that screams for explanation, and a testament to the chilling enigma that is Room 611. Room 611 isn't just another hotel room. It's a legend whispered in hushed tones among those who chase shadows and seek answers in the unknown. Tucked away on the 6th floor of a building steeped in history, this particular suite has earned a reputation that far precedes its elegant, if somewhat dated, decor. It's a magnet for the curious, a pilgrimage site for thrill seekers, and a source of perpetual fascination for anyone drawn to the darker corners of human experience. For years, Room 611 has sat at the epicenter of a chilling tapestry of unexplained occurrences, weaving itself into the very fabric of local folklore. It's not just the sudden drafts in a sealed room, or the fleeting scent of antique perfume where none should be. It's the profound sense of being watched, the overwhelming feeling of a presence just beyond the veil of perception, a weight in the air that presses down on you, stealing your breath and settling deep in your bones. Ghost hunters, armed with their electromagnetic field detectors and thermal cameras, have ventured in, brimming with scientific skepticism, only to emerge pale and shaken, their equipment often malfunctioning or providing data that defies all logical explanation. History enthusiasts, drawn to the building's rich and sometimes tragic past, find themselves unexpectedly confronted with the tangible echoes of events long past, experiencing moments of disorienting temporal displacement or fleeting, vivid sensory impressions that feel more like memories than mere imagination. This room, in essence, is a living, breathing enigma, a portal to something just beyond our comprehension, a place where the veil between worlds seems impossibly thin, allowing glimpses of what lies on the other side. Its allure isn't just in the potential for a jump scare or a fleeting glimpse of an apparition. It's in the profound disquiet it evokes, the way it subtly erodes your sense of reality, leaving you to question everything you thought you knew about the world and indeed about yourself. The very air within Room 611 seems to hum with an unseen energy, a low, constant vibration that only the most sensitive among us can truly perceive, but which affects everyone who dares to cross its threshold. It's a quiet dread that permeates every fiber of your being, not a sudden shock, but a slow, creeping horror that builds with each passing moment, each subtle shift in the atmosphere, each inexplicable sound that seems to emanate from the very walls themselves. The reputation of Room 611 isn't just built on a handful of isolated incidents. It's a cumulative effect of hundreds of unsettling experiences, each one adding another brick to the towering monument of its haunted lore, making it a truly unique and terrifying destination for those brave, or perhaps foolish, enough to seek out the truly inexplicable. It demands attention, it begs for understanding, but ultimately, it offers only more questions, deeper mysteries, and a pervasive, lingering sense of dread. The mystery surrounding Room 611 isn't merely anecdotal. It's a deeply disturbing collection of accounts that defy rational explanation, leaving those who experience them profoundly shaken and often questioning their own sanity. Guests have reported a bewildering array of phenomena, from the unsettlingly mundane to the outright terrifying. Imagine checking into a beautifully appointed room, only to find your meticulously packed suitcase wide open, its contents strewn across the floor, despite you having locked the door and left it empty just moments before. Or perhaps you awaken in the dead of night, not to a sudden crash or a ghostly whisper, but to the distinct, chilling sensation of someone sitting on the edge of your bed, the mattress subtly dipping beside you, yet when you bolt upright, the space beside you is empty, the only evidence being the lingering impression on the sheets and the icy dread that has seeped into your very bones. Then there are the sounds, soft, rhythmic tapping that seems to come from inside the walls, no matter where you press your ear. Disembodied whispers that weave in and out of the ambient hotel noise, sometimes coalescing into what sounds like a name or a fragmented plea, just at the edge of audibility. One particularly disturbing recurring report involves the temperature. Even with the thermostat set to a comfortable level, guests often describe pockets of extreme cold, so intense they feel like an ice pick being driven into their flesh, localized to specific areas of the room, the foot of the bed, the entrance to the bathroom, or even directly over where they are sitting. These aren't just drafts, they are sentient chills that seem to move and settle, leaving a lingering residue of fear. Perhaps the most unsettling category of incidents involves the visual anomalies. Many guests have reported fleeting glimpses of figures in their peripheral vision. A shadowy silhouette darting across the doorway, a pale face peering from the reflection in the window, only to vanish when directly observed. Others describe objects moving on their own, a pen rolling across the desk, a book falling from a shelf with no apparent cause, or a bedside lamp flickering wildly despite a stable power supply. Some of the more extreme accounts include moments of terrifying clarity, where the room itself seems to shift, momentarily morphing into an older, dustier version of itself, complete with antique furniture and gaslight fixtures, before snapping back to its modern state, leaving the witness disoriented and profoundly disturbed. One recurring tale involves a young couple who, after a romantic dinner, returned to room 611 only to find a perfectly set tea party laid out on the small table by the window, complete with delicate porcelain cups, saucers, and a half-eaten scone. They had left the room entirely empty save for their luggage. When they cautiously touched the teacups, they were still warm and the scone tasted fresh, yet the hotel staff confirmed no one had entered the room, and there was no record of any room service order. The most terrifying aspect of these occurrences isn't just their inexplicable nature, but their subtle, insidious way of undermining one's perception of reality. Guests often start rationalizing, making excuses, blaming fatigue or an overactive imagination. But as the incidents escalate, as the whispers become clearer, the shadows more defined, and the cold spots more pervasive, the denial shatters, replaced by a creeping dread that something truly unnatural resides within those walls. The psychological toll is immense. Sleep deprivation sets in, as the fear of what the night might bring keeps eyes wide open. Paranoia blossoms, leading guests to scrutinize every corner of the room, every flicker of light, every creak of the old building. The isolation of being in a hotel room, a transient space, amplifies the terror, as there's no immediate sense of home or security to cling to. Even after checking out, many report a lingering sense of unease, a feeling that a piece of room 611 has clung to them, following them home, or perhaps a piece of them was left behind, absorbed into the room's hungry, unquiet spirit. These are not just ghost stories, they are accounts of profound psychological distress, born from encounters with something that fundamentally breaks the rules of our perceived universe, leaving behind a chilling testament to the enduring mystery of room 611. To truly understand the chilling enigma of room 611, we must delve into the shadowed annals of the building's past, for it is here, in the layered history of triumphs and tragedies, that the roots of its profound haunting reputation truly lie. The grand edifice that houses room 611 began its life in the late 1800s, not as a hotel, but as a lavish private residence for a prominent industrialist, a man named Bartholomew Thorne. Thorne was a visionary, but also a figure shrouded in whispers of ruthlessness and an insatiable desire for power. His wealth was immense, built upon industries that exploited labor and resources without mercy, and his mansion, a testament to his ambition, was designed to awe and intimidate. It was a house of secrets, with hidden passages, concealed rooms, and a pervasive atmosphere of hushed grandeur. Room 611, in its original configuration, was Thorne's personal study, a place where he conducted his most clandestine dealings, a sanctuary for his darkest thoughts and plans. Local lore claims that Thorne, consumed by his avarice, dabbled in esoteric practices, seeking ways to extend his influence beyond the grave, perhaps even to cheat death itself. After Thorne's sudden and mysterious death in the early 1900s, officially ruled a heart attack, but whispered to be something far more sinister, perhaps even a suicide born of mounting guilt or a pact gone awry, the mansion sat empty for years, a brooding monument to a forgotten era, its opulence slowly decaying, its windows like vacant eyes staring out onto the city. The first major transformation came in the 1920s, amidst the roaring 20s boom, when a consortium of investors purchased the dilapidated Thorne estate with grand plans to convert it into a luxury hotel. Renamed the Grand Elysium, it quickly became a beacon of opulence and a favored haunt for the era's elite. Celebrities, politicians, and notorious figures of the underworld flocked to its gilded halls, seeking pleasure and conducting business behind closed doors. Room 611, now a guest suite, retained its prime location on the 6th floor, overlooking the city, and continued to be a favored lodging for powerful and often morally ambiguous individuals. It was during this period that the first documented anomalies began to surface, albeit subtly. Housekeeping staff reported an inexplicable coldness in the room even on warm days, and guests occasionally complained of waking up feeling drained and uneasy, describing vivid, disturbing nightmares that felt strikingly real. Some even claimed to hear faint, archaic music emanating from within the walls, or caught fleeting glimpses of a stern, shadowy figure in old-fashioned attire, standing silently by the window. The hotel, however, was not immune to the turbulent currents of history. The Great Depression hit it hard, and then came World War II. During the war, the Grand Elysium underwent another transformation, becoming a temporary residence for high-ranking military officials and, according to unconfirmed whispers, a clandestine meeting point for spies and intelligence operatives. It is rumored that a particularly brutal interrogation took place within Room 611 during this time, involving a suspected double agent. The details are murky, but the outcome was tragic. The individual was found dead in the room, officially listed as a suicide, but many believed foul play was involved, covered up for national security. Following the war, the hotel struggled to regain its former glory. It entered a period of decline, its elegance fading, its clientele shifting from the elite to a more diverse, sometimes less desirable, crowd. In the 1970s and 80s, the hotel gained a new, darker reputation, becoming known for petty crimes, drug activity, and a disturbing number of isolated, unexplained deaths and disappearances within its walls, some of which occurred in or near Room 611. Each layer of history, each significant event, each life lived and lost within its confines, seems to have imprinted itself onto the very fabric of the building, and nowhere is this more acutely felt than in Room 611. It's as if the room acts as a psychic sponge, absorbing the lingering emotions, the echoes of past traumas, the residual energy of every significant event that transpired within its walls. The opulent parties, the clandestine meetings, the desperate struggles, the whispered secrets, and the tragic ends, all of it coalesces into a palpable atmosphere, a weight that presses down on anyone who dares to cross its threshold, leaving them vulnerable to the inexplicable manifestations that have become its chilling signature. The room isn't just haunted by a single entity, it feels like a confluence of lingering energies, a nexus where the past actively intrudes upon the present, creating a profoundly unsettling experience for anyone who steps into its unsettling embrace. The true horror of Room 611 isn't found in sudden, shocking apparitions, but in the insidious, relentless erosion of your sanity, a slow descent into a reality that unravels around you. It begins subtly, almost imperceptibly, making you question your own perceptions. Perhaps it's the gentle creak of the antique wardrobe when no one is near, or the persistent chill that seems to follow you from one end of the room to the other, clinging to your skin like an invisible shroud. You might dismiss it as the quirks of an old building, the natural settling of timbers, or a faulty heating system. You tell yourself it's nothing, just your imagination running wild in the quiet of a strange room. But then the anomalies escalate. One night, you might wake up to the distinct sensation of your name being whispered, a soft, sibilant sound right next to your ear, so clear you can almost feel the breath on your skin. You snap awake, heart pounding, peering into the oppressive darkness of the room, but there's nothing. Just the silence, thick and heavy, pressing down on you. You try to rationalize it, a dream, a trick of the mind. But the whisper lingers, an echo in the deepest corners of your consciousness, a seed of doubt planted firmly in your mind. The sounds become more pronounced. Not just whispers, but faint, melancholic music like a broken gramophone playing a forgotten waltz from decades past, always just out of reach, always just fading when you strain to listen. Or the unsettling sound of a distant, sorrowful sigh, seeming to emanate from the very air around you, a breath that isn't your own. Then there are the physical manifestations. A book you left on the bedside table is found on the floor, open to a random page. The curtains, meticulously drawn, are suddenly pulled wide, letting in the harsh glare of the city lights. Your carefully folded clothes are subtly rearranged in your suitcase, or a small, personal item, a watch, a ring, vanishes from where you placed it, only to reappear hours later in an entirely different spot, often somewhere illogical or unsettling, like tucked under a pillow you haven't touched. Sleep becomes a luxury you can no longer afford. Every creak, every shadow, every shift in the air sends a jolt of adrenaline through your system. You lie awake, staring into the darkness, convinced that something is watching you, observing your fear, feeding on your growing apprehension. The paranoia becomes a constant companion, a heavy cloak draped over your shoulders. You start to see things in your peripheral vision, fleeting, dark shapes that dart away when you turn your head. A sudden flicker in the mirror that shows a face, a gaunt, ancient visage, that vanishes the instant you focus on it. You begin to question your own mind. Is this real? Am I going mad? The isolation of the hotel room amplifies this internal torment. There's no one to talk to, no one to corroborate your experiences. The hotel staff, polite but distant, offer no solace, their practiced smiles masking any deeper understanding of the terror that unfolds within Room 611. You find yourself pacing the room, whispering to yourself, trying to rationalize the inexplicable, trying to find a logical explanation for events that defy all logic. The fear isn't of a sudden violent attack, but of the slow, methodical dismantling of your reality. It's the horror of not knowing what is real and what is a figment of your increasingly frayed mind. The atmosphere in room 611 itself seems to thicken, becoming almost suffocating. The air grows heavy, stagnant, as if the very oxygen is being consumed by an unseen presence. A cloying, metallic scent sometimes permeates the room, a faint tang of old blood and decay that seems to stick to your tongue, making you gag. This pervasive feeling of oppression, combined with the relentless, unsettling events, leads to a profound sense of psychological distress. Your thoughts become muddled, your concentration shattered. You become hypersensitive to every sound, every shadow, every minute shift in the room's atmosphere. You find yourself talking to the empty air, begging for an explanation, for the presence to reveal itself, anything to break the suffocating ambiguity. But the silence that follows is always the most terrifying answer of all, confirming that whatever haunts room 611, it is playing a far more insidious game, a game designed to shatter your very sense of self. The progression is relentless, each incident chipping away at your composure, until you are a raw nerve, exposed and vulnerable, trapped in a waking nightmare with no escape. The true horror of room 611 reached its chilling crescendo during the infamous stay of a renowned parapsychologist, Dr. Elias Thorne, in the early 1990s. Dr. Thorne, a direct descendant of Bartholomew Thorne, the original owner of the mansion, was a man of science, a staunch skeptic who nonetheless possessed an open mind to the anomalies he couldn't readily explain. He had come to room 611 not seeking ghosts, but seeking answers, driven by an academic curiosity about the persistent reports and a personal desire to understand the legacy of his enigmatic ancestor. He arrived armed with an array of sophisticated equipment, EMF detectors, thermal cameras, high-sensitivity microphones, and even specialized atmospheric pressure sensors. His goal was to meticulously document every anomaly, to find a rational, scientific explanation for every reported occurrence. He dismissed the local legends as fanciful tales, believing that with enough data, he could debunk the supernatural claims once and for all. His initial days were uneventful, a quiet period that only served to solidify his skepticism. He recorded normal EMF readings, stable temperatures, and the predictable sounds of a bustling hotel. He spent hours meticulously examining the antique furniture, the thick walls, and the very structure of the room, searching for hidden mechanisms or structural peculiarities that could account for the strange phenomena. He even brought in a team of engineers to inspect the electrical wiring and plumbing. He believed he was on the verge of proving that room 611 was nothing more than a product of overactive imaginations and confirmation bias. But then, as he settled into his prolonged stay, the room began to awaken around him. It started with subtle things he could almost dismiss. His meticulously calibrated EMF detector would occasionally spike, but only for a fraction of a second, just long enough for him to question if it was a faulty sensor. He noticed an inexplicable chill in the air, a localized cold spot that moved from one corner of the room to another, even when the windows were sealed and the heating was working perfectly. He attributed it to drafts, to peculiarities in the building's old ventilation system. Then came the whispers. Faint ethereal murmurs that seemed to emanate from the very air, too indistinct to form words, but distinct enough to make the hairs on his arms stand on end. He set up sensitive microphones, but they captured nothing but static. He began to feel a profound sense of being watched, an unnerving sensation that persisted even when he was alone in the room, making him constantly turn his head, expecting to find someone there. He started experiencing vivid, disturbing nightmares when he did manage to sleep, fragmented visions of old-world opulence, hushed arguments, and a pervasive sense of profound despair. The true climax of Dr. Thorne's experience occurred on his third week. He was attempting to record ambient sound with a parabolic microphone, focused on a particularly cold corner of the room, when his equipment suddenly went silent. The lights in the room flickered violently, then died, plunging him into absolute darkness. The emergency lights of the hotel corridor provided only a faint, eerie glow under the door. A deep, guttural moan filled the room, not from a human throat, but from something far older, far more primal. It resonated through the floorboards, vibrating through his very bones, a sound of ancient suffering and boundless rage. In the impenetrable blackness, the temperature plummeted to an unbearable, unnatural cold, a cold that felt sentient, clawing at his skin, threatening to freeze the very blood in his veins. Then he heard it, the distinct dragging sound of heavy chains being pulled across the wooden floor directly in front of him, followed by a wet, sickening thud. He fumbled for his flashlight, his hands trembling uncontrollably. When the beam finally cut through the darkness, it revealed nothing. The room was empty, the floor bare. But the air was thick with a cloying, metallic scent, like old copper and stagnant water, a smell that made him gag. His equipment lay scattered on the floor, some of it visibly damaged, wires torn, screens shattered. But what truly broke him was the chilling realization of what he had missed. On the lens of his thermal camera, still attached to its tripod, was a faint, lingering thermal imprint, a large, dark human-shaped outline, a negative heat signature, as if something impossibly cold had stood there, absorbing all warmth from the air. Dr. Thorne fled the room in a state of utter terror, leaving all his expensive equipment behind. He checked out immediately, a stark, haunted look in his eyes that staff had never seen on a man of his composure. He never returned to room 611, and though he continued his parapsychological research, he spoke of that night only in hushed, fragmented sentences, his voice tinged with a profound, unshakable dread. His meticulous scientific approach had been utterly shattered by an encounter with something that defied all his understanding, something that was undeniably real, undeniably malevolent, and irrevocably tied to the chilling history of room 611. It was the night that skepticism died, replaced by a profound existential terror that would haunt him for the rest of his days, a silent testament to the raw, unexplainable power lurking within that single, cursed room. Dr. Thorne's harrowing experience became the definitive, chilling benchmark for room 611's supernatural reputation. Before his stay, the incidents, while numerous and disturbing, were often dismissed as isolated anomalies, subjective interpretations, or the product of an old building's natural quirks. But a renowned parapsychologist, a man committed to empirical evidence and logical deduction, fleeing in abject terror, unable to provide any rational explanation for the events that transpired, lent an undeniable, terrifying weight to the legends. His account, though initially suppressed and downplayed by the hotel management, slowly leaked into the public consciousness, solidifying room 611's status as one of the most genuinely haunted locations in the country. It was the moment that the abstract whispers of the unexplained became a concrete, terrifying reality, a physical manifestation of something truly malevolent and inexplicable. The incident with Dr. Thorne served as a catalyst, transforming room 611 from a mere curiosity into a focal point of intense, fearful fascination. It confirmed for many that something truly insidious resided within its walls, something capable of not just scaring guests, but of profoundly breaking a highly trained scientific mind. The immediate aftermath of Dr. Thorne's departure saw a sharp decline in bookings for room 611. For a period, the hotel even considered sealing it off permanently, or transforming it into storage. However, the very notoriety that had driven away casual guests began to attract a new kind of clientele: the intrepid, the curious, and the truly desperate for an encounter with the unknown. Paranormal investigative teams, emboldened by Thorne's widely circulated, albeit unofficial, account, began to request access, hoping to replicate or further document the phenomena. And indeed, many of them encountered their own versions of the room's chilling power. One team reported their highly sensitive thermal cameras consistently displaying impossible cold spots that would rapidly shift and coalesce into humanoid forms, only to dissipate before they could be fully captured. Another group, attempting to use voice recorders, claimed to have captured faint, distorted whispers that, when played back and amplified, sounded like fragmented sentences in an archaic language, sometimes interspersed with the faint, unsettling sounds of a waltz, or a child humming a forgotten lullaby. The most consistent and terrifying report from these investigations was the feeling of being watched, the overwhelming sense of a heavy, unseen presence, and the gradual, pervasive psychological torment that left even the most hardened investigators feeling vulnerable and unsettled. Many accounts spoke of sudden, disorienting sensations of vertigo, intense nausea, and an inexplicable feeling of suffocating pressure on their chests, as if an invisible weight was pressing down on them. The enduring mystery of room 611 isn't just about the physical manifestations. It's about the psychological impact it has on those who dare to stay. It's the slow, relentless erosion of your grip on reality, the way it makes you doubt your senses, your memory, even your own sanity. The room doesn't just scare you. It preys on your deepest fears, twisting them, magnifying them, until they become indistinguishable from reality. It weaponizes ambiguity, leaving you perpetually off balance, always questioning, always searching for an explanation that never comes. The chilling feeling of an invisible entity sitting on the edge of your bed, the sudden, inexplicable drop in temperature that feels like a malevolent touch, the fleeting glimpse of a shadow that seems to solidify just beyond your vision. These are not random occurrences. They are carefully orchestrated psychological assaults, designed to push you to the brink of despair. The room itself seems to be a living, breathing entity, feeding on the fear and anxiety it generates, growing stronger with each terrified guest. It's a place where the lines between the living and the dead blur, where the past is not merely remembered but actively experienced, and where the human mind is pushed to its absolute breaking point, leaving an indelible mark on those who dare to venture into its chilling embrace. Every report, every photograph, every fleeting glimpse of a shadow, every cold spot, every inexplicable sound, adds another layer to the chilling enigma, painting a picture of a place that is not merely haunted, but truly cursed, a nexus of lingering torment and ancient malevolence that continues to claim its psychological toll on anyone foolish enough to seek out its truth. The truth of Room 611 remains elusive, but its terror is undeniably real, a haunting testament to the power of the unexplained. So, what have we learned about Room 611, this legendary suite nestled within the historical depths of what is now simply known as the Grand Elysium? We've delved into its chilling statistics, the hundreds of documented, unexplainable incidents that defy all logical reasoning. From the unsettling rearrangement of personal belongings to the pervasive, bone-chilling cold spots that seem to possess a malevolent sentience, and the terrifying whispers that claw at the edges of sanity, Room 611 is not merely a hotel room. It is a nexus of unexplained phenomena, a gravitational pull for the bizarre and the terrifying. Its reputation isn't built on flimsy anecdotes, but on a mountain of consistent, disturbing reports from countless individuals, including those who arrived as hardened skeptics, only to leave profoundly shaken and forever changed. We explored the layered history of the building, tracing its origins from the opulent, secretive mansion of Bartholomew Thorne, a man whose ambition and potential dabbling in the esoteric may have laid the foundation for the room's lingering darkness. We followed its transformation into the glittering Grand Elysium, a playground for the rich and powerful in the Roaring Twenties, a period where the first subtle anomalies began to surface. We then moved through its grim period as a wartime residence and a clandestine meeting point, where whispers of a tragic interrogation and a suspicious death within Room 611 added a new, darker layer to its already unsettling aura. Each era, each significant event, each life lived and lost within its walls, seems to have imprinted itself onto the very fabric of Room 611, creating a unique and deeply disturbing tapestry of residual energy, past traumas, and perhaps something far more sinister and conscious. It's as if the room itself is a sentient entity, a living archive of human suffering and hidden secrets, endlessly replaying and influencing the present with echoes of its troubled past. This cumulative history, filled with ambition, despair, and unexplained endings, has coalesced into the palpable, suffocating atmosphere that pervades Room 611, making it a place where the veil between what we perceive as real and what lies beyond is terrifyingly thin. The very essence of Room 611's horror lies not in gore or cheap jump scares, but in its insidious, psychological assault. It doesn't just show you a ghost, it subtly dismantles your perception of reality, feeding on your fear, your isolation, and your desperate need for a rational explanation. The relentless ambiguity of the threat is perhaps its most potent weapon. Is it a residual haunting, an echo of past events trapped in a loop? Is it an intelligent entity actively preying on the minds of its occupants? Or is it something else entirely, something beyond human comprehension, something that exists only to sow discord and despair? The fear is amplified by the inability to truly grasp what you're dealing with, leaving you in a constant state of heightened anxiety, perpetually on edge, scrutinizing every shadow, every creak, every inexplicable shift in the room's oppressive stillness. The feeling of being watched, the subtle manipulation of objects, the chilling temperature drops, the disembodied whispers, these are not random occurrences. They are carefully orchestrated intrusions, designed to strip away your sense of security, to make you question your own sanity, and to ultimately leave you a raw nerve, exposed and vulnerable to the unseen terrors that lurk within its walls. The spine-tingling climax we explored, the true breaking point for even the most scientific of minds, was the terrifying experience of Dr. Elias Thorne. A man of rigorous logic and empirical evidence, he entered Room 611 determined to debunk the legends, only to be confronted with a profound and visceral terror that shattered his skepticism. His account, from the sudden electrical malfunctions and the impossible cold, to the guttural, inhuman moan and the lingering negative thermal imprint of an unseen presence, stands as a stark testament to the undeniable, inexplicable power residing within Room 611. It was an encounter that fundamentally broke his understanding of the world, transforming a rational scientist into a haunted man, forever marked by what he encountered. His story crystallizes the terrifying essence of Room 611, a place where the conventional rules of reality are suspended, and where something ancient and malevolent actively preys on the minds of those who dare to cross its threshold, leaving behind only profound psychological scars and a lingering sense of existential dread. Room 611 is a place where history intertwines with horror, where the past is not merely remembered but actively intrudes upon the present, and where the line between sanity and madness becomes terrifyingly thin. It is a chilling reminder that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, some questions are not meant to be answered, and some places are best left undisturbed, their secrets forever shrouded in the darkness. It stands as a monument to the terrifying unknown, a place where the deepest fears of the human psyche are brought to horrifying, undeniable life, leaving an indelible mark on all who dare to enter its chilling embrace. We've journeyed through the unsettling history of Room 611, from its origins as a magnate's private study to its current, infamous status as a hotbed of paranormal activity. We've examined the unnerving statistics, the numerous documented incidents that defy all logical explanation, and the profound psychological toll it takes on anyone brave, or perhaps foolish, enough to spend a night within its chilling confines. From the subtle creep of a misplaced object to the terrifying, unexplainable whispers and the sudden, malevolent drops in temperature, Room 611 isn't just a place where ghosts might reside. It's a place that seems to actively feed on the fear and sanity of its occupants. We've traced the layers of its past, from the potentially dark dealings of Bartholomew Thorne, its first owner, to the various tragic and unsettling events that have unfolded within its walls over the decades, each incident seemingly adding another thread to the intricate, terrifying tapestry of its haunting. The psychological impact of Room 611 is perhaps its most terrifying aspect. It's not about grotesque monsters or sudden violent attacks. It's about the slow, insidious erosion of your grip on reality, the way it makes you question your own senses, your own memories, your own sanity. The ambiguity of the threat is a psychological weapon, leaving you perpetually off balance, always searching for an explanation that never comes. The constant feeling of being watched, the subtle manipulation of objects, the chilling, sentient cold spots, the disembodied whispers, these are not random occurrences. They are carefully orchestrated intrusions, designed to strip away your sense of security, to make you doubt every instinct, and to leave you a raw, exposed nerve vulnerable to the unseen terrors that lurk within its walls. And then we revisited the spine-tingling account of Dr. Elias Thorne, a man of science and reason, who entered Room 611 determined to debunk its legends, only to emerge a haunted shell of his former self. His experience, with its shattering electrical failures, the guttural, inhuman moan that resonated through the very foundations of the building, and the terrifying, lingering thermal imprint of an unseen, impossibly cold entity, stands as the most compelling and terrifying testament to the undeniable, inexplicable power residing within Room 611. It's a story that transcends mere anecdote, pushing the boundaries of what we understand about the world and solidifying Room 611's reputation as a place where the veil between the living and the dead, between reality and nightmare, is terrifyingly thin. The room isn't just haunted, it's alive, it's sentient, and it's waiting. This room, with its long and troubling history, its inexplicable phenomena, and its undeniable psychological impact, serves as a chilling reminder that some places hold secrets so profound, so disturbing, that they defy all rational explanation. They exist outside the comforting boundaries of our understanding, reminding us that there are forces at play in the world that we can neither comprehend nor control. Room 611 is a monument to the terrifying unknown, a place where the deepest fears of the human psyche are brought to horrifying, undeniable life, leaving an indelible mark on all who dare to enter its chilling embrace. Its mysteries remain unsolved, its true nature veiled in an oppressive, unsettling darkness, but its terror is undeniably real, a haunting testament to the power of the unexplained. The question remains, what truly lurks within Room 611? And what might it be doing now as you listen to this story, perhaps in the quiet solitude of your own room? Now, I'm sure many of you have your own chilling encounters, your own unexplained phenomena, or perhaps even a local legend that gives you goosebumps. I want to hear about them. Please share your scariest, most unexplainable ghost stories, or tell me about other haunted places you'd like me to explore in future videos, down in the comments below. And if you found yourself captivated or perhaps a little unnerved by the chilling tale of Room 611, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the terrifying unknown. Your support helps me keep exploring these dark corners of our world, bringing these unsettling stories to life. Until next time, stay safe and remember, some doors are better left unopened.